Imagine framed by an endless horizon, a sea of slowly rolling dunes, the largest of which reach a height of 250 meters. This landscape looks like a set for a futuristic movie. In fact, the usual view from the window in a country like Saudi Arabia, since it is almost completely located in the desert. The climate here is appropriate, mostly arid. It is characterized by extremely high temperatures during the day up to 56 degrees Celsius and the possibility of frost at night up to -12. As you understand, it is not easy to engage in agriculture in such conditions. Nevertheless, there are 16 million citizens and about 9 million immigrant workers living in the country. Where do they get food? Surprisingly, the Arabs successfully grow a lot of vegetables and fruits in the barren desert and are a major importer of food. It turns out that even such soil can bring a fantastic harvest. How does it work out? See in our issue. In the second half of the 20th century, Saudi Arabia's agriculture moved from the cultivation of dates and the breeding of sheep, camels and goats to the production of a wide variety of products, and as a result turned into one of the most productive industries. First of all, this was facilitated by the state policy aimed at replacing the traditional nomadic cattle breeding for Bedouins with settled agriculture. The need for this reform was obvious since the country imported most of its food, and this made it vulnerable, both economically and politically. Another goal was to increase the incomes of the rural population. The government decree on the allocation of public lands in 1968 stimulated the disintegration of the Bedouin way of life. Modern technologies and new transport networks have also contributed. According to the development program, Wheat Policy, the state has introduced subsidies for local producers and prohibitive import tariffs. The government provided agribusiness with funds for fertilizer, seed stock, irrigation, equipment, and labor remuneration. In addition, she bought wheat from farmers at prices 3 times higher than the world. As a result, the area of cultivated land increased from 600,000 hectares in 1980 to 1,700,000 hectares in 1995. However, despite the success in increasing domestic production, the agricultural development program has not fully achieved its goals. This was due to the fact that farming in the desert is extremely difficult. The first and main problem of any farmer is the lack of water. As you know, there is not a single river in Saudi Arabia, and it is problematic to grow wheat and other crops without water. Annually, no more than 100 millimeters of precipitation falls throughout the country, except in the southern part. For comparison, in France, the annual rate is from 690 to 1,000 millimeters, and agriculture ultimately consumes more than 80% of the kingdom's valuable water reserves. Another difficulty is that the main type of soil here is desert. In the north of the country there are subtropical gray soils. In the low-lying eastern regions there are salt marshes and meadowsaline soils. Arable land is mainly located in fertile oases north of the Rub al-Khali Desert. Therefore, in the 21st century, the Saudis faced the task of increasing agricultural production by expanding arable land and at the same time ensuring stable water savings. The measures necessary to solve it are prescribed in the program of the government of Saudi Arabia Vision 2030. New strategies include using satellites to capture images of agricultural land. The resulting thermal images are designed to better understand the relationship between crop growth and total water consumption. This helps farmers compare water needs for different crops and assess which crop yields the highest yield with a certain amount of water. The main priority of the kingdom is to increase the efficiency of the use of limited natural resources in rural development. The government contributes to this process by turning large areas of the desert into agricultural fields, implementing large irrigation projects, and introducing large-scale mechanization. Deserted fields, after the construction of modern irrigation systems on them, now even more resemble the fantastic scenery of Hollywood films. For example, in the valley of Wadi az-Sirhan in the north of the country. In the desert, you can see unusual circles. These are oases in fields where crops, fruits, and vegetables are grown. They are irrigated with water that is about 2 million years old. It has been preserved in rocks at a kilometer depth since the last ice age. The diameter of one field is from 800 to 1,000 meters. Each uses the so-called circular irrigation. Water comes from an underground well in the center of the field into a special pipe with many holes, which moves non-stop in a circle irrigating crops. The pipe is driven by the pressure of the source, without the use of electricity. The method was invented by farmer Frank Zibeg from Colorado in 1940. He wanted to improve the distribution of water in the fields, and so he achieved his goal. The round shape is due to the features of the technology. If the fields were square, then the corners would need to be watered in a different way. The oases are arranged in such a way that when viewed from space, they form a schematic drawing of a dog. Why dogs are unknown. However, according to available data, the water in the wells will last only for 50 years, so the government is looking for alternative sources. Traps have been built that accumulate scant precipitation, as well as seawater desalinators and urban and industrial wastewater purifiers. In the future, the authorities plan to completely switch to wheat imports and grow only vegetables and fruits in round fields. As a result of the active use of modern technologies and unprecedented state support, the area of arable land has increased to almost 3.5 million hectares by 2018. The Saudis export dates, dairy products, eggs, fish, poultry, fruits, vegetables, and flowers to the world market. In 2018, the Ministry of Environment, Water Resources and Agriculture of Saudi Arabia adopted a new plan aimed at developing organic farming in the country. The purpose of the plan is to increase the volume of organic agriculture by 300%, and the allocated budget is $200 million. But still 13% of all imports into the country are food products. The Saudis have come to the conclusion that it is unreasonable and the depletion of scarce water resources can lead to much bigger problems than the pursuit of complete food independence. Therefore, the government, in parallel with the programs of intensification of its own production, began to launch eccentric projects. So since 2008, as part of the initiative to invest in Saudi Arabia's agriculture abroad, the country has been buying up large plots of land around the world for billions of dollars, in Ethiopia, Indonesia, Mali, Senegal, Sudan. And what do you think is more profitable? To develop your own agriculture in spite of nature, or to look for other ways out of this situation?